there, everybody. Welcome back to Legends Lore. This is going to be my second collection update video. I'm going to dive into all the latest Star Wars books I've gathered since the last time we did this back, I believe, in early April. I'm going to give you guys everything I've picked up over the last couple months. Before we do so, I'm going to ask you like the video, you subscribe to the channel if you like my content. I have a lot of Star Wars lore videos I've been posting recently. I hope you've been checking those out and enjoying them. I'll have more lore videos here in the future for Star Wars and a variety of franchises, and of course I'll continue with my rankings and tier lists that you guys like on this channel. Now let's get into the collection updates. So I'm going to start with some of the Legends stuff I've picked up over the last couple months. If you've been following my other channel, Star Wars Lads, which you really should if you're a Star Wars fan, we do Star Wars content there about 2 to 3 times a week, as well as live streams, brackets with your favorite things in Star Wars where you get to vote on the outcome of what the best Star Wars thing in that category is. We do a lot of fun Star Wars stuff over there. Make sure you're checking it out. But that's my plug for Star Wars Lads on this video. But if you watched that channel, you might have seen our vlog we did where Sonic and I met up to see Return of the Jedi. Along our adventures, Sonic went to a used bookstore that I recommended in Santa Clarita, California. There he picked up a book for me that I didn't have in my collection. It's one of those easier to find hardcovers that I've been waiting to pick up at a used bookstore. He picked it up for me. I'm glad I have it in the collection because it's a nice copy of Attack of the Clones. This was the only novelization I do not own, so now I've got every Star Wars novelization, so I can thank him for that. I've been reading and slowly building up my Young Jedi Knights collection. I don't have the 3 SFBC hardcovers yet, but I have pretty much every single paperback with the inclusion of these 4 now. So I have picked up a very beat up copy of Lightsabers, but this is the one I was on in my read through of this series, so I just picked it up because they had it. Darkest Night, which I believe is the 5th book in the series, Trouble on Cloud City, and Shards of Alderaan. The only other paperback novel I picked up was an extremely clean copy of Tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina. I think I mentioned in last collection update video that I wanted to collect every single first print paperback. Even though I'm more of a hardcover collector, I still wanted every book that was printed first in paperback. I wanted a copy of it in paperback. And so this was just like too good a condition to pass up. As you can see, if it loads there, I mean, pretty much untouched spine. Very clean. Obviously not something worth that much money, but added it to the collection. This was something super cool and random I found at a comic book store, actually, in their used section. I'm a big audiobook guy. I actually do plan on doing an audiobook guide if you guys want me to do that. It's kind of one of the only Star Wars book type guides I haven't done yet. I'm a big fan of Star Wars audiobooks across all generations. I've even listened to a lot of the abridged ones for the 90s era. And I found on old cassette a Dark Forces Soldier for the Empire audiobook. I don't know if I'll ever listen to this, but it's complete in the box. It has all the stuff that's in it, both cassettes, all the little instruction manual, and the box is in pretty nice shape. So for $4.95, I thought might as well. And at that same store, I did find the trade paperback copy of Dark Forces Soldier for the Empire. I'm still missing all 3 hardcovers of the novellas, but I did get this trade paperback, and it does come with some cool art in here. I'm not sure if these are in the hardcovers. If you have these, let me know if they're in the hardcovers too. But I thought it was pretty neat, even though this is it's a novella. It's not a comic book, so for this size and to have the art in there, I don't know, it was pretty cool. Only picked up a couple of junior novels this time. I got the 4th book in the Rebel Force series, Firefight, and then I'm adding to the Star Wars Journal series collection that I don't have, Star Wars Journal, The Fight for Justice. This is the one that is narrated by Luke Skywalker. And with this one, you might be thinking you got really desperate for your collection, but I picked up book 2 of the Jedi Prince series. This is the Barnes & Noble hardcover edition. I've passed on book 1 so many times. I've seen it so many different bookstores. I already have all the paperbacks. That's the first way they were printed. Do I really need them? But yeah, I got book 2, so now I'll get book 1 eventually when I see it again in a used bookstore. I also picked up from that same comic book store the Mos Eisley Cantina pop-up book. I featured this in my History of the Star Wars franchise video. This is just kind of a super random thing. At the end, it's got a big pop-up of the Mos Eisley Cantina with all the characters. It's kind of a reference book, got some highlights on some of the different factions in Star Wars. It's got some cool concept art. I do think this is pretty neat. I mean, it's a short read. It's not meant for my age level, but it was the first ever Star Wars pop-up book. You'll find that out if you listen to my History of the Star Wars franchise video series. But yeah, I don't know, something cool to add to the collection. Okay, that's the end of the Legends section of the video. Now to get into some canon stuff, I picked up some newer things that I've listened to on audiobook. Starting with The High Republic, I've been slowly getting all the Phase 2 books. I've listened to those on audiobook, usually for review, and now I picked up Battle of Jedha, the script version, and Cataclysm. These are just the slip covers. I've loaned these to my sister to read, so hopefully she's enjoying these and getting into Phase 2 of the High Republic, which has been great. I do have reviews for all of these on Star Wars Lads, so I will link that playlist to the High Republic Phase 2 reviews in the cards. You can check that out if you want to hear my thoughts on every single book, comic book, junior novel, everything in the High Republic, as well as a High Republic reading guide and a tier list for it. So check out our extensive High Republic coverage over on Star Wars Lads. And then to round out the High Republic stuff, I did pick up Path of Vengeance to round out the entire High Republic novel collection for Phase 2. Target was having a buy one, get one half off sale. I believe that's where I picked up Battle of Jedha. But I also picked up Jedi Battle Scars. Again, did a review for this on Star Wars Lads, so if you want to hear my thoughts on it, you can check it out there. I don't love this book, but it's not bad. I know a lot of people out there hate it, but I think it does some good things for some of the characters. One more High Republic book for you, The Quest for Planet X. I did, again, review this on Star Wars Lads, but I didn't like this one as much as Quest for the Hidden City. So this is super random, but I picked up the Abdo hardcover versions of some of these Star Wars Rebels episode adaptations. These are chapter books of arcs from Star Wars Rebels. I really didn't have much intention on collecting this series. Maybe it was the last possible thing I haven't gotten. But I believe these Abdo collections you could only get in a library or something. My local used bookstore had a ton of these for comics as well. Like they would have half of a trade paperback collected in a hardcover. It's really, really strange. If you guys know the history about Abdo, let me know in the comments. That's one type of like Star Wars book publishing that I've never really researched, and I see it often, but I thought I might as well get the hardcovers. They're probably maybe slightly more valuable than the paperback versions of these, so now I have them. A couple of trade paperbacks I picked up. I've got the High Republic Edge of Balance Precedent. This was the manga for the High Republic Phase 2. This was way better than the mangas for High Republic Phase 1. I actually thought this was by far the best Edge of Balance book. Also got the Marvel High Republic Phase 2. This is volume 1 of it, Balance of the Force. Reviewed again all of the comics for the High Republic over on my other channel, but got the paperback for this. I was contemplating not getting the paperback since I read these in singles because Phase 1 is getting an omnibus. I'm going to get that omnibus, so I assume Phase 2 will eventually get an omnibus. Last set of comics for you, I got the Han Solo Volume 1 and 2. I read most of Volume 1 when we were still reviewing weekly single issues on Star Wars Lads, but once we fell off of that, the Han Solo series didn't intrigue me enough to keep going with it, and it's alright. It's not great. I don't love it, but it's not bad. And I think there will be more in the future. At least it ends with possibly more returning from this series because it doesn't wrap up completely. And I don't have anything the level of The Last Jedi to end on. All I'm going to end on is a funny story and the Goldsboro version of Shadow of the Sith. So this is obviously the one with the sprayed pages, and it is signed by the author, Adam Christopher. And this is honestly one of my favorite Star Wars books. I loved this last year. It was everything I've wanted from canon. Important storytelling, boundary pushing lore. All of that was great. The Mask of Exum Panchard, one of my favorite things that has come out from the dark side in canon. I do have a video on the Mask of Exum Panchard coming out because I think it's such a cool topic. I love this book. It's great. If you haven't read it and you're into Star Wars canon, or even if you're not into Star Wars canon, this might be the one that gets you in there. Adam Christopher writes the dark side so well. He pays homage to so many Legends books, especially Revenge of the Sith, the Darth Bane trilogy. He has that dark style that works so well for a book like this. He also really understands Luke. He understands Lando. This is some of the best Lando stuff I've ever read. Highly, highly recommend this. But I ordered this book back in May last year. I sent so many emails to Goldsboro wondering where the heck this book was. Why had I not gotten it? I thought maybe it got stolen in the mail. Never got any responses. I asked on Facebook to some of you guys in the book groups, and I was like, how do I get in touch with these people? Eventually, randomly out of the blue, like about a month ago, they emailed me and they're like, oh, we're so sorry we lost your email. And they asked me if I still wanted a copy, that they had a couple left. I was like, yes, please. And they sent me one. So I finally have this book. This has been 13 months in the coming. It's now here. It's with me. It's on my shelf. Actually, I probably will store it in a safer place than on my shelf, but I have this book. I love this book. It's one of my favorite canon novels. The people at Goldsboro were very kind and gracious. They just said my order slipped through the cracks. I tend to believe them because all the people that I've talked to on social media about trying to get my book said they've had nothing but great experiences with them. They're a UK-based company, and they sell these for £25, which is the equivalent. I'm not sure what the conversion rate is now. Last summer, the dollar was a lot stronger than the pound, so it was about $25 in US too. It was maybe $26 or $27. And for that price to get a signed copy, and they do this for almost every Star Wars book that comes out. So even though I had a bad experience with them, I would still consider ordering from them in the future because everybody else has had such great experiences with them. They were nothing but gracious and nice when they realized about my order. I just don't know why it took so long for them to see my emails as well, but that's all right. I've got it now, and let me know if you guys have some Goldsboro editions. So that's it for this collection update. I'll give you another one as soon as I've got enough stuff to talk about. Thank you so much for watching this. Again, check out some of my lore videos. I put up some really fun ones as well. I have some fun ideas coming for lore. I want to give you some standard stuff, my take on some standard stuff, maybe some updated standard stuff, but I also want to give you some really fun, weird things. I'm constantly reading Star Wars books and I pull out lore pieces that I'm like, this is really goofy. I'll make a video about it. So I have some goofy Star Wars lore videos. Hope you check all those out. Hope you enjoy the content on this channel. Let me know in the comments if you're enjoying it, what you want to see more of. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.